Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and technically I'm doing a video on Uranus moving into Gemini. But really what this video is about is the trinity of Uranus moving into Gemini, the final planet to change elements, the final outer planet. We've had Pluto move into Aquarius, and we've had Neptune now move into Aries. I call this the Holy Trinity because this is the moment where those that walk the earth, the souls that are incarnating a physical experience, will become much more aware of the soul that walks within and will start operating on that platform. So what I'm going to do today is start off actually talking about your rising signs and what houses this is going to take place. That way you don't have to wait till the end of the video, and you can pause it and you can go get your natal chart. Now, I did the structure based on whole sign because that's the easiest thing to do for a video. But if you look at your chart in Placidus, you will see that the houses, the different sizes, you could have Aries be your first house, your 12th house, and even maybe potentially part of your second house. And if for some reason you have 3 signs in your first house, that is a very rare and specific mission in this lifetime. So for those of you that know your chart a little bit more, being able to see as Uranus moves into Gemini, it could literally be like, let's say, your second house. Your second house is Taurus in whole sign, but in Placidus, it starts in Taurus and ends in Gemini. That would mean the focus would be on money, security, possessions, but the dynamics would shift from that steady, insecure, potentially Taurus, very wanting those resources, into the Gemini energy of being more informational, curious, more social about things, moving more quickly about things. So I encourage you to get your charts before we start this video, and I'm going to go through each rising sign and tell you where the Gemini energy is, where Uranus is moving, where Neptune is in Aries, and where Pluto is in Aquarius. The other thing that's so important about the outer planets right now is that for the next, I think Uranus is the first one to move out of orb, but they will travel, these 3, in either a trine between Pluto and Uranus and then a sextile both to Neptune. This is significant because trines are harmonious aspects that work more effortlessly, but the sextiles must be activated. So as a sextile from Pluto in Aquarius asking for you to be a revolutionary about who you are, Neptune in Aries, but through your soul's lens, through the peaceful warrior. So I'm going to take a sip of water. Get your pencils and papers ready, because I'm going to give you the house structure, and then we'll go into the dynamics. For my Aries rising, Gemini is your 3rd house. Uranus will be moving into your 3rd house of communications, of how you think, how you speak, how you, in many ways, interact. It's a social house. It's a house of teamwork. It's a house of education. This is where your childhood lived. Aries, the 1st house is you. And Aquarius, that's where Neptune is. And Aquarius, Pluto is in your 11th house, which is social consciousness, and Uranus's natural house. So it's about moving into the future. It's about thinking of humanity as a whole versus the Aries individual of the I. Taurus, Gemini is your 2nd house. You naturally rule the 2nd house. This is a house that's steady. It wants to nurture and cultivate its skills. It's a house of your self-worth, your possessions, how you make money with your own skills, your own talents. And it is the house of your opinion and your voice and how you express that. Aries is your 12th house. The 12th house is a house of mystery. It's a house that's shrouded in unknowing, because it's a house that really speaks in the subtlety of the soul. And in that, is your karmic choices live there. And whether you have planets there or not, you can look for the ruling planets of your 12th house to have a little more information as to what unconscious things are going on, because it's a house that is much like Scorpio in that you're not aware sometimes. It's also so focused on being compassionate to others, being super sensitive to others people's energy, that one's own energy can get muddied. That's Aries, your 12th house. The warrior in you might get muddied. And then Aquarius is your 10th house, which is the house of career, and it's a house of public status. For my Geminis, Uranus is moving into your first house, revolutionizing who you are as an individual and how you perceive the world. Aries is your 11th house. That again is a house of hopes, dreams, innovation, science, exploration, and rebellion. And then we see Pluto in your 9th house of Aquarius, which is going to be really how should I put this? Excavating, I should say, any beliefs, any lack of expansion, anywhere there's been restriction. And one of the shadow sides of the Aquarius energy is that feeling of exile, not feeling like you're part of the people. So Pluto could be excavating any psychological dynamics that are living under the surface that are thwarting your hopes and dreams from coming true. Cancer, Gemini is your 12th house. Um, uh, this again is the house of the hidden, a house that is on the axis of suffering and self-undoing. So for my Cancers, having Gemini be your 12th house, this could be where unconscious thoughts bouncing back and forth fuel insecurity and unsureness. We see that Aries is your 10th house. This is a very visible house. It's also a house that squares you and has natural tension to your wants and desires for group and family and home. And Aquarius is your 8th house, and that's where Pluto is traveling. Pluto is natural ruler of the 8th house. So this is very much about transformation and awareness about and an awakening from any power and control on a psychological level that thwarts you from being all you can be. Leo, Gemini is your 11th house. Again, that is a house that is futuristic and natural to Uranus. So while it is Gemini filled, Uranus will feel a sense of comfort there. It'll just elevate the thought process, I would imagine. Aries is your 9th house. That's where Neptune is traveling. And Pluto is in your 7th house of partnerships, harmony, peace, and balance and cooperation. For my Virgos, Gemini is your 10th house. Again, that's the public house of career. Aries is your 8th house of transformation. And that is transformation, literally a death and a rebirth of the self, where there is the potential, Virgo can hold anger inside, not necessarily express it as an Aries would. So here, what we're looking at is Virgo getting and coming into an awareness of how the lack of individuality might have created less of a sense of self, and there'll be transformation surrounding that. That's going to last for 14 years. And then Pluto is going through your house of work, which is the 6th house. So we are going to see some interesting things potentially happening in your public status in your career. When I say public status, it doesn't mean everybody's a movie star, everybody's a politician. It means that within your group, within your circle, your presence will elevate to a place of leadership or a place of reputation or a place of other people's awareness about what's going on with you. Libra, Gemini is your 9th house. Aries is your 7th house. Aquarius is your 5th house. Interestingly, for my Libras, the 9th house and the 5th house are what they call Upachaya houses. I'm sorry, they're Dharma houses. They're houses that give a sense of reward for past life deeds, attitudes, and behaviors that supported the elevation of humanity and of the individual. So having Uranus going into your 9th house of Gemini could really start to gas things up in the way you think and what you believe, how curious you are. It could also really make you yearn for travel. Aries 7th house, Neptune coming into there is going to be a real awareness of wherever there's been too many acquiescing to somebody else, something that, you know, not wanting to confront something because you don't want an argument, but that doesn't mean it balances it out. It just means it pushes it off to another day. That's going to get mucked up a bit. Now, the fifth house of Aquarius with Pluto going there, that's the house of romance, creativity, meaning your personal expression and creativity. It's a house of games. It's a house of gambling. It's a house of standing on the stage. So you may take a risk and put yourself out a little further into other people's awareness than you ever did before, or you might even fall in love in a very unusual and very deep way. And that love doesn't have to be with another person. It could be in love with a creative project or a way of expressing yourself. Scorpio, Gemini is your eighth house. This is your natural house. So there will be unexpected Uranian lightning flashes that come through your awareness that probably could very well involve your interactions with others on a social level. It may even illuminate where there's been a lack of willingness to be curious about things, to be exploring your everyday life a little broader. Aries is your sixth house of work and service. And then Aquarius is your fourth house of home and hearth. So you're going to be looking at a transformation about how or you're looking at a holy trinity that is focused in on transforming you, your sense of individuality in the way that you work and the way that you perceive things. This very much would task you with being the peaceful warrior or the aware, awakened warrior, and then having an opportunity to really excavate and then transform into tools whatever your roots are and whatever they did to affect your life's journey. Sagittarius, Gemini is your seventh house. This is a house of partnerships. It's a house of it's the house of we, and Sagittarius, the first house, is the house of me. So you'll find awakenings about how you interact with the we and the me of your life. The fifth house is where Aries is for you, which is really kind of fun and exciting because Neptune is very creative in and of itself. The fifth house is very creative and Aries is very individualistic. So you may find yourself traveling literally in imaginative realms that can bring the awareness of your creativity out onto the stage. And then I see that as the Aquarius is your third house. And to me, that's a very social house, but it's not like the social house. I mean, Aquarius rules the cosmic consciousness, but in the third house, it kind of rules my community's cosmic consciousness. So you may be finding that within your immediate community circle of friends, environment where you naturally thrive, you could even potentially find yourself interacting with people from your late teens and early 20s, or remembering them or getting creative about that period of time in your life and maybe writing about it, speaking about it, influencing about it, being in the media. Capricorn, we're looking at Gemini being your sixth house of work, service, health. Uranus coming in there is going to probably break up a lot of obligation and responsibilities that are stale and old and unnecessary. Your ruling planet is in Aries right now, being a very strategic planner and builder of the new you. And that would be reflected in your fourth house of Aries. Now, naturally, Aries and Capricorn square each other, but there is complementary energy because Saturn is extremely comfortable in Aries. Because when Mars is in Capricorn, it is exalted. It is a welcomed guest. So there is natural cooperation. The one stumbling block, if you want to call it that, is that Mars wants to move very quickly and is very reactionary, whereas Saturn wants to plot out the plan to be strong and enduring. So when Saturn goes to war, Saturn is not going to lose. Saturn is going to win. And Saturn is going to learn from the history of which it came. So Saturn in your fourth house is going to allow you to now transform the Aries energy with Neptune's influence into the spiritual foundation, the spiritual framework for who you are in an evolved version. And that is reflected with Aquarius being your second house of self-worth, and also the house of your self-worth as it relates to how you were raised, which is Neptune going through your fourth house, eroding the illusions. Sometimes people think, when you use the word ego, everybody thinks, oh, you're so inflated, you think you're so perfect. But the person who has no ego is almost the same crime, just a different direction. The crime is on the self, because they don't have enough ego to step up. And when you're overly responsible, obligated, and dutiful to things that don't honor the heart or the soul, that's not truly sustainable. And Capricorn doesn't like that. Now, Aquarius, Uranus is moving into Gemini, your fifth house. This could bring unexpected romances, unexpected opportunities to step out on a platform that gives you worldwide reach, and to truly be the reformer that you would like to be, or the individualistic energy. And there's so many. I made a list of areas that we often don't talk about. I'm going to talk about Uranus much more later in this video. I just want to give you guys the landscape so you can start to think about this when we talk about what we're going to subsequently. Okay, so Gemini, Uranus is your fifth house, where Uranus is moving into, is Gemini. Neptune has moved into your third house of Aries. This would be a house, again, of communication, of curiosity, of learning, of thinking. And Aquarius loves to think, but it wants to think at a higher octave. So Neptune is going to bring in a dreamy sense, and Uranus in Gemini is going to take you into space and genius. And you may even find, Aquarius, that you are more easily able to tap into the universal laws, universal energies. Who knows? But you could download things from places you have no idea, through inspirations. And of course, Pluto is moving through your first house. That's been going on for a while, completely redefining who you are and how you look at yourself and how others see you, your perspective. Now, again, I want to kind of go back and talk about Placidus for a minute, because having Pluto in the 12th house, if it indeed you're a mid to range Aquarian rising, Pluto will start that transit in your 12th house of the unconscious, of the self-undoing, of the sacrifice. It is a access, Virgo, Pisces, 12th house, 6th house is an access of truly experiencing more of the heavy side of life, and then how we process it and can victimize ourselves to it. So there's going to be a lot of rewriting of the story of you for the next 20 years. And finally, Pisces. Gemini is your fourth house of home. Aries is your second house of skills and self-worth and resources and comfort and food. And then Aquarius is your 12th house. So you are absolutely going through a period of time right now where, especially with Pluto going through your 12th house, that is just really unearthing you rule the 12th house naturally, and it's a house of quiet. It's a house where retreats are, where people study, and where they do experiments and they do things behind the scenes. Well, I think part of what Pluto is going to do at this time is unearth any barriers that have kept you from innovating and moving forward. So as we go through this 20-year cycle, and you get more and more adapt to trusting your inner knowing and understanding that compassion is not about feeling sorry for someone, but understanding that they vibrationally aligned to an experience they don't want to have, but they don't know it yet. And so therefore you can hold loving space for them to step up their game, but you don't need to get sucked into it. I think that's where Aries in the second house is really going to help you out. So now let's go over to, let me quickly describe. Well, I don't know if anything I do is quickly. I love to talk. Gemini is part of my second house. Neptune over this period of time in Aries is going to expose the lies of the ego. And again, these lies are not always of an inflated ego. Sometimes they're a lack of ego. And I've started to call the ego edging God out. And with Neptune in the house of self, when we start to listen to the divine wisdom that comes through those subtle inspirations that say, you can adventure in this area. You can be a hero for yourself in this area, and then therefore be a hero to others, because you now are not using Neptune as an erosive energy, but rather of a spiritual energy that understands that there are cycles to things, and sometimes things must appear to die off in order to grow. We talk about God pruning the bush and the caterpillar that transforms into the butterfly. All of those are deaths, and the Neptunian energy has a certain death element to it. It's the last house before the human experience ends and we transcend into collective consciousness. Now, Pluto, irreversible consequences. These will come from moral blindness. These will come from a me win, you lose attitude. And Pluto in Aquarius will have none of that. Pluto will be powerful and strong in saying, I win, you win. And the soul knows that. And the only way to truly connect with the universe, which Aquarius is or represents, is to create a win-win. That's where the real power lies. And then finally, Uranus is representing the ultimate awakening of the truth. But the truth is not the truth of mankind. It is the truth that you were always free to think. And through your thoughts, they become a magnet. They become a tractor beam for bringing forth the people, the components, the elements to align to what you want to experience. But because we're so focused right now in the earth and the water element of being stuck in, I can't move, I need help, I'm poor, look at my money, look at my bank account, look at my fat, look at my age, all of these repressive thoughts are what keep us tethered to the freedom that we are tethered to the lack of freedom that we desire. So as this trinity of planets comes together and travels for, I think it's like 10 years that they fade in and out of these sextiles and trines, they will continue to offer a landscape that will ask us to step up. It will continue to ask us to be a peaceful warrior, but not to put our sword down. Neptune in Aries. Pluto in Aquarius will ask us to be humanity's psychological surgeon. Where the hell are you getting in your own way? Because all you do is, I'm poor, I never get to meet anybody, this never happened. And of course, the universe being a computer, being literally this sort of unemotional database, gives you exactly what you put in it. You type in the World Wide Web, I want to go here, you get the words you type. You might have meant to go over here, but if you didn't type the correct words, they're not going to get there. And then Uranus and Gemini for the next 8 years till 2033 will be demanding freedom for the people. That's the stage. The outer planets are the stage. Okay. The stage is not necessarily going to change. The players will come and go. The lighting will change. Those are all the personal planets. But basically, this stage is compelling us to move forward from the soul's point of view, not from survival, not from our base chakras. So outer planets, the stage, the house, which we just talked about, is the focus. So if you missed it, go back and look and see. We went by rising sign, but again, I encourage you to check your chart in Placidus, because that will really show how not only will these transits be effective, but you could literally see them going from one dynamic into another. And you'll feel it for sure. But having the awareness of it, you can plan for it. The personal planets that go zipping around the zodiac throughout this whole experience and in your chart, those are the characteristics and the traits we'll be addressing. So, if you've got your moon, let's say you have your moon in Aries, you're going to come up on not only Neptune, Saturn over the next couple of years, and this is going to ask you how you emote. So it's so powerful to know your chart and to be able to let it tell you a story. because you have an opportunity to be a warrior for yourself, to be brave and to be pioneering in looking at your stuff, but not working on it too hard. That's the key. You don't want to work on your issues. You want to step into where you want to go and practice that. And the universe will take you there like a rocket. 11th house, Uranus. All right. 11th house, Uranus, Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius. It's all playing together. It's one big concert. It's like Pluto's playing the drums and Uranus is playing some super high notes somewhere in the string section. And then Neptune is playing this great beat or melody underneath this whole thing. Wherever we see Uranus go, there will be sheep no more. The great awakener will bring unstable but exciting experiences. Sudden breakthroughs will come. Sudden breakups will come. You will potentially need a bit of autonomy, a feeling of being in power for your future. And I think because Uranus is in Gemini, you'll start to more and more understand that your thoughts have power that your bank accounts don't, and your politicians don't. And right now, even the healthcare and education systems, which will all be reformed during this period of time, will also don't have power over you. Up until now, they've told you they do, because you are a weak vessel, but you are not a weak vessel. You are a vibration. And the more you marry yourself to that idea and you step into that energy and you think about that and you practice, wow, I'm feeling low vibrational today. Thank you, Spirit, for bringing me into a higher awareness of the present moment so that I can expand into all that I can be. You will blow the socks off of people around you. So when we look at Uranus and Gemini on a everybody level, you're going to see real focus on the people, power to the people. You're going to see education, everyday activities, more discernment, more people questioning media and information and the way it's coming in. And is it viable? They're going to be questioning old traditional thought and structures. We will very much see on a mundane level changes in our transportation systems, changes in education, and again, how the media dispenses information. So what we will probably see is more individuals, Gemini, and I know Gemini rules the twins, but it rules the people. These, people on YouTube, people on various platforms, moving away from large institutions that compartmentalize them into the freedom of their own opinions. We see that a lot now anyway. I want to go through also the potential areas. So when you're looking at your chart and you're looking at the houses, let's say you have Gemini is actually your second house, so you're a Taurus rising. You may have skills that are Geminian. And so you would be working steadily at those Geminian skills. And some of those may have to do with travel, have to do with information. So here, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about what Uranus rules and what Uranus affects in the way of everyday life. Anything that moves people fast and in a revolutionary way, okay? Science and invention, that's key. We will see aviation. We will see probably new rockets developed or new planes developed. They deal with the military and with electricity as large, broad subjects. We have air traffic controllers, pilots, aerodynamic people who rule, run in aerodynamics, the airwaves, drones, airborne military strategies, rockets, aerospace, weather sciences, astronomy, astrology, anything to do with electricity. We may see a ton more of electric cars, but we may see even other different kinds of electric vehicles because it also rules electric engineering, AI development, robotics, cybersecurity, data scientists, IT architects, renewable energy could very much come into play. We will see, there could potentially be, it's interesting, the word lightning hit me, and I literally felt it like physically and metaphorically, because Uranus rules lightning genius thoughts. Here in Gemini, it would be like a true strike, because Mercury usually takes bits of information in Gemini and doesn't really analyze them, just passes them on. The analyzing comes in Virgo. So now when we add Uranus, his willingness to experiment, to probe a little bit more, to want to flesh something out more, I think that's where lightning is going to come into play. Now, we may also see it come into physical, like lightning glass and technologies that are based using lightning. I think even Tesla has, well, I don't want to get there. I don't know anything about that. Influencers will become much more powerful as they are raw and authentic, as they express their genius, their Uranian individuality. We'll see live streamers becoming resources for information and education. We're going to see a lot of educational reform. We're going to see people wanting social reform, civil rights reform. We will see potentially schools opening up that have experimental educational programs that are a hybrid of both the old requirements and then the new technologies that must be learned so that we can actually work in the future. And then ultimately, this old way of being will probably go to the wayside. We'll also see exploration and invention that has to do with nuclear energy, potentially different ways of engaging in the military. For some reason, I imagine holographic battle where humans don't want to die as much as we die now. So there may be, mock games that are played out, but they feel so realistic that maybe they're more satisfying to the players. I don't know. We also have explosives and things that go boom when it comes to Uranus. So all these areas of life, and if you work in any of them, the other one is railways. Saturn rules railways, and thereby, because Saturn rules Aquarius, Uranus also has something to do with railways. I tend to think that there could potentially be aerial railways coming up. I don't know. I don't know if they're actually attached to the Earth, or there becomes more like subways that fly, like the Jetsons, I don't quite know what that's going to be. Let's see where else my notes are. All right. So this is what I think is basically kind of to round this up. When you look at these planets, and, of course, right now I'm kind of focusing in on Uranus, but when you look at these three outer planets together, there is power, Pluto, in looking to your future, Aquarius, through individual Aries, soul's eyes, Neptune's eyes, through the eyes that can't see clearly underwater, but can yet feel all the underbelly of the ocean. And then Uranus will very much compel us to keep our thoughts on the future. And while it's always been nice to use the rear view mirror so you don't back up into something, the past is the past. There's nothing that can be done about it. So looking to the future is the only way to reform your life, to innovate, to revolutionize. So don't be afraid of robotics. Don't be afraid of revolution or disruption right now, because ultimately, on a soul level, you understand that it's necessary so that you can be free. Free to think, free to express, free to fail. Fail so that you can succeed. There'll be less boundaries, less judgment when it comes to where you are on the scale of success. And I tend to think that while everyone's always going to love luxury of some kind, I think it'll be more the cherry on the sundae in the future. I think that the characteristics and the higher vibrations of the personal planets will be the focus of these outer planets. And when they are aligned, and when I say that, I mean, if you go through a dark moment or a dip in energy, instead of looking at it through the eyes of, oh no, I'm in danger, you will instead say, oh, my vibration must be off. I must be in my human body and working too hard, because joy actually manifests very quickly. So when you love what you're doing, you never work a day in your life and you have all the money you need. And that's going to be more and more evident in the physical everyday world as Uranus breaks up old ways of doing things, old ways of learning, old ways of thinking, and old ways of talking to yourself as well as how you talk to others. All right, everybody, that's it for me for today. I'll be back sometime, some way. I don't know. I got some pretty heavy transits right now, and I'm just doing videos off the fly. So sending you lots of love. Hope to see you on Sundays, 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'm live there every Sunday. Peace out.